Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for stopping by. In this video, we're going to be continuing our MPF discussion, and we're going to be changing it up a little bit. We're going to be taking a look at non-standard port inspection when it comes to HTTP communication. So specifically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a little bit of class map configuration to define the non-standard port. We're going to call that from a policy map. Or I'm sorry, we're going to call that class map from the global policy map and tell it to inspect HTTP. And then we're going to configure a little bit of NAT and an ACL to allow this communication to go through. So you can ignore the connection that you see here. I'm actually going to fix that too, but that's a different situation altogether. That's actually just an access list inbound. So we'll fix that actually right away, and so that'll go away. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the access list first, just to allow this communication to happen. So I'm going to come in here, type in access list, and we're going to call the access list is going to be ACL in or outside in, and if I come in here and outside in, then we're going to cut at the end here. We're going to type in extended permit TCP from the host, and the source is going to be 200.1.10.1 to a host of 10.100.10.9 equal to 179, and hit the enter key. And so that's going to allow us to match on BGP. So then we'll type an access group, and the group name is going to be the name of the ACL. I'll type in interface outside. So that'll allow the communication to pass through. So that'll do that. So we do a show access list. Well, we should start to see as soon as communication is allowed through, all that should come up and be allowed to pass. And we know that we did it in the right direction because this is allowed to pass through. So there's the hits. So we know BGP, the peering between test 9 and R1 should be allowed back through. If we do a show connection long protocol TCP on port 179, we should have an active connection going between those two devices for BGP. So the BGP peering should be up. Now that I've cleared that up, so you're going to want to get good at doing that specific thing, but that's not a NAT though. That was just allowing BGP to come through on the outside. So what I'm going to go do now is I'm going to start off with our goal here is test 12. If we click on him and we do a Control Shift 6X, Control Shift 6X, Control Shift 6666666, something along those lines. So what I was going to show you until it decided to bug out on me. Control Shift 6 was that I have the HTTP port set to test 12 to port 8080. So as soon as that's done clearing here in a moment, we should be okay. But we're going to NAT that traffic through. So as it sits right now, okay, perfect. So we'll do a show IP HTTP server and all. Wow, that's a lot. So okay, so that's actually perfect though. We'll see that I was using port 80, and if we look back here, the HTTP server port is 8080. So if we do a show run pipe include HTTP, we'll see that the IP HTTP port is 8080. So that what that means is we're going to have to go on the ASA and configure an HTTP connection, create a class map that calls for that. So we're going to walk you step by step through the config. So the first thing we need to do here is do just a regular layer 3, layer 4 class map. So class map, and we're going to call this HTTP to 8080 and hit the enter key. We're going to type in match port TCP equal to 8080. and then we're going to exit out of that. Then show run policy map. And then the global policy, what we're going to do is we're going to go into this level right here, to this level, just the class, because we already have a class configured, class HTTP 8080. I'm going to go ahead and right click and hit that and type in this case here it's going to be HTTP underscore 8080. And then what we're going to do is we're going to type in inspect HTTP. Now it's going to inspect the communication flow to that. So if we do a show policy map, show service policy global for the inspection of HTTP traffic, we should have two of them now. We should have one that points to just regular 80 or HTTP, and we have another one that points to 8080. But if I come in here and do a show run policy map, we're going to see that there's two in here for HTTP. There's one. There's only one in there. Okay. I thought I had more. Inspection defaults. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm calling HTTP as the communication, as the protocol being sent back and forth, but it's matching on port 8080. So we have that. So it's going to match on those packets, on any traffic going to that particular destination port. Now that I have that in place, what we have to do is create an access list and a NAT statement. So I'm going to do a show run object and network, and we're going to have a bunch of them here. So what other things I'm going to do is I'm going to go find test 12, which is right here, and I'm going to copy and paste that in. And now I want to create a NAT entry. This is going to be a static NAT entry, so we're going to type in NAT from the DMZ VLAN 30 to the outside interface. But what we're going to do is we're going to define a static IP. In this case here, it's going to be static to 200.1.10.12. But that would just allow, that would be a static entry. That would be a static NAT if we were to do this. This would allow communication, anything from test 12 outbound or inbound would be the mapping. So the inside IP address would be 172.16.30.12. The outside IP address would be 200.1.10.12. But I don't want to do that. I want to be more specific and say I want to lock this down to a specific service. I'm going to say it's going to be for TCP as a transport protocol. And now I want to define the individual ports. So I'm going to say 80. And if you notice at the top here, it says real TCP port. This is the port number allocated on the host level. So in this case here, test 12. So I'm going to type in 8080. And then we're going to have the next one is going to be the mapped port. The mapped port is going to be whatever the outside public IP is going to be listening for a port number. So 200.1.10.12 colon 8080. So I'll type in 8080 and hit the enter key. Now, once I have that done, I'm going to do a show run access list. And if we do, and we have this connection right now, so we'll just add an entry to this. So I'm going to type in access list outside in extended permit. It's going to be TCP, and I'm going to say I really don't care where the traffic is coming from, so I'm going to type in any, but I do have a specific node that I want to point out to. So I'm going to type in object, and the object name is going to be test 12, and I want to map this to a port of, in this case here, it's going to be 8080. Okay, doing all of that should allow this communication to happen. Now if we drop out of here and we do a show access list, we should have that entry down in the ACL. If we do a show NAT, we should have that NAT entry. It's shows up in section 2 because it's an object-based NAT. And if we do a show service policy, inspect global, inspect HTTP, we should, when we start to send traffic to test 12, it should land where we want it to. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and open up Firefox. I've actually already we're actually looking at Firefox on the endpoint. I'm going to go ahead and type in 200. Yeah, that should be fine. I'm just making sure that there wasn't anything in there that shouldn't have been in there. Actually, let me go ahead and clear my browsing history because I don't know what I've let's go history, and we're just going to say clear recent history. Clear now. Okay, so there we go. So in here, we should be able to type in 200.1.10.12:8080. Now, do you think that's going to go through? I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter key, and immediately we get a pop-up. We're going to type in Rob and the password is Cisco, and hit the enter key. So it pops up. So we're going to go ahead and figure out why. Okay, no big deal on that one. I don't know why that decided to admin and Eve. That was weird. Anyway, pull that back up and pull this guy back up. So I'm going to hit this arrow, and I'm going to hit the up arrow. And now we have 27 packets match this guy. If we do a show nat, we'll see on the outside interface we had 3 untranslated hits. This means the traffic came inbound, not outbound. So traffic came in from the outside. And lastly, the access list, we're going to see entries. We're going to see 3 hits on this ACL. So that is how you would do if you're going to do inspection of HTTP. Now I could take this a step further and create layer 7 inspection and start to lock it down to where only specific URLs or specific domains can be accessed and stuff like that. So you can do that from the outside in, or in the case that we're going to be testing is going to be from the inside out. So there's that. That's pretty much it for how this comes into play. It's the making sure that you are paying attention to the inspection policies and stuff like that that's coming back and forth, because that's going to be where you can take it to the next level and doing that deep packet inspection. But that's basically how it ties into play. So that's pretty much it for what I wanted to show you in this video. Pretty straightforward stuff. I want to keep it short and to the point. In the next video, we're going to be diving into our layer 7 inspection, where we dive into HTTP and DNS deep packet inspection. So beyond just the application detection of layer 3 and layer 4, specifically layer 4 with the appropriate transport and the destination port being your application detection. TCP and port 80 is HTTP. We're going to take it a step further and dive into those aspects as we're going along and figure out how to do all that. So until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.